working this much does kind of burn you out. So you got to be really good. You got to start doing the infrared dry saunas. You got to eat healthy.
Yeah.
You got to stretch because I'm sitting a lot.
Yep.
Like it does pay a toll on me. And you got to balance it. Going back to the relationship, you have to balance it and still be a good husband and a good father, right? Because that's your number one responsibility.
I am Ty Leon Guerrero. I simply go by TYLG, and I've got my good friend here, Bo Eckstein. How are you, Bo?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Dude, this is cool, man, to be together. A couple things, dude. We met back in, I want to say 2010, something like that, 2012, something like that. It's been 10, 15 years. What are you up to these days? Like, what's your main thing?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say I remember you from the UFC gym.
Yeah.
And I'd see this guy and he worked out pretty hard. And I was like, oh, he just was disciplined. I could just see the discipline. And then somehow we got introduced and I found out you're in real estate and I'm in real estate, at that time. Yeah. So, but today I've have 27 years of lending experience. And then I got in, when the downturn happened in real estate, I got into hard money lending, did a lot of fix and flips, did a TV show on house flipping.
Yeah.
That was 2013. Then I got bored of that, got into commercial lending, got bored of that and found SBA lending. SBA to me is the best because I love business ownership, and what SBA is probably the best lending product out there in the world or the nation because it's just a U.S. product, a U.S.-based product. You have to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, and that got me into the franchise business. So today I've transitioned from real estate, although I still do real estate, I still finance real estate, but my real passion is helping people find and fund their ideal business and the advantages of all that behind that. And I came up with I call it the triangle method. The triangle method is tax strategy, operating business, and real estate. Because where we go wrong a lot of times in real estate is we think, oh, we're going to get cash flow from these rentals. You will get cash flow from the rentals, but it takes years and years to get that cash flow. Right. It's a long-term game. So what do we need? We need an operating business that creates cash flow. So that's really where my mindset is today. And so my goal right now is to help 100,000 aspiring entrepreneurs become successful business owners over the next 10 years. And maybe it's not one-on-one, but it's through my podcast, through virtual events, and through speaking on stages. But I started with 10,000 people, then I changed to 100,000. But actually, I really believe this 1,000%. It's going to be over 1 million people. So I'm scratching that out, 1 million people. I'm making a commitment. If you make a commitment out loud, you're like 60%. I don't know what I'm making up that stat, but it's true. If you make a commitment out loud, you're way more likely to reach that. So like I encourage people to make commitments. That's why like when you're at a virtual event, raising your hand, making a commitment is important. I study people, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about today is like you and I are similar. We love going to events. Not only does it inspire us, but just the value out of it. You're probably the biggest person I know that's gone to Tony Robbins, I mean, for years and years and years and years and years, because you started in real estate, right? You're a young guy, didn't know what you're doing. Yeah. You got so well connected over the years. You're probably one of the most well-connected people I know in the space. So just what did that look like? Because I want to take some of that knowledge and roll it into my business.
It's fun because even today, while we're doing this podcast, we're here with Michael Zuber, One Rental at a Time, his event here in Las Vegas, a 2-day event. A weekend event. I was at another event that Tuesday to Saturday, like yesterday I was with Tony Robbins and, he lit the room on fire. And then of course I got to be with the genius mind of you, Bo, and Michael Zuber and, Jason Pritchard, Jason and Jen, and all the great people that are in this community. So I really believe that you've got to invest in yourself, number one. And I think just, even just YouTube, podcasts, reading books is one way. But I think too, you can go further faster by getting in those rooms and, like actually physically being there, being in those Zoom rooms, get to know people, raise your hands, participate, and really connect with people, and you just never know, man. I was sitting at this event, another event, which was a internet marketing event. And the guy sitting behind me, I'm like, hey, what do you do? And he's like, oh, well, I'm marketing, I'm in marketing for real estate. And I'm like, oh, I'm, real estate. We get talking. He worked for one of my mentors, a guy named Ron LeGrand, and he worked for Ron LeGrand back in the early 2000s and was the guy that basically helped Ron get on the internet and Facebook ads and all of this. And this guy today, probably, he's running my guesstimate is probably somewhere 50 to 80 million dollars worth of different channels of, digital marketing. And where am I going? I'm a real estate guy wanting to learn digital marketing. So how fortunate that I get to sit next to that guy and meet that guy. That's no accident. To me, it's providence. It's upstairs. It's the man upstairs. So I think putting yourself in the right situations, the right rooms to meet the right people that are going to help you along the way. How about for you, man? How many, we had dinner last night and kind of unpack some of the stuff, the way you're investing back into yourself, back in your business, and maybe just talk about a little bit of what you're up to in terms of your education and coaching and personal development.
Yeah, I mean, so it's all about getting in the rooms and learning. So I didn't go to university. I was actually, when I was a child, I was diagnosed with a learning disability. True story, right? And so I always thought I was dumb, and then I never opened a book. And then after high school, I was like, well, what am I going to do with myself? I either want to be in law enforcement or real estate. I happened to get into the mortgage business at 20 or 21 years old. But after that, as I was graduating, getting into business, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a college degree, but what can I do is I can take classes, I can learn. And to this day, I've never stopped learning. I aggressively learn. I'm learning from people like Dr. Robert Cialdini, the guy that wrote Influence. I'm learning from the guy, the GOAT of webinars, right? Because these are things that I can apply to my business. And then getting into the right rooms. So I'm in a little mastermind group with Evan Carmichael, who's one of the best YouTubers out there. He's got well over 3 million subscribers. So I'm always trying to increase my game because I've realized early on that YouTube was so powerful. What's the second largest search engine in the world? YouTube, right? When I did my TV show in 2013, they casted me from YouTube. I wasn't even on it. It was just a clip from when I used to run the real estate investor clubs, right?
Oh, right.
So I got on TV. I got national. I did 12 episodes. Yes, I'm a paid actor now. And but like all these baby steps, right? Building these baby steps, these foundation. So going back, so I was in Evans on a Zoom meeting with Evan, and he was interviewing Tom Wheelwright. Tom Wheelwright's a huge CPA. He's Robert Kiyosaki CPA. He's written a lot of books. And so I got the opportunity to talk to Tom. And I said, Tom, I'm actually writing a book on why everyone should own a small business. Would you be interested in co-authoring the book? Fast forward several weeks later, we agreed to do the book together. So I'm writing a book with a very established author, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it just getting in the right rooms, sharing your knowledge and letting people know that you've got a lot to offer and you're not just here to take, but you're here to share, right? And so that's through my Franchise Brokers Association that's the kind of the brokerage that we get our inventory for franchises. One guy has done a couple TV shows. Him and I hit it off, and he's like, he wanted to create a reality show on franchising. So because he knew me and we had conversation, they had already started with putting it together, and they rolled me into the conversation. I created the title, I wrote the script, and I might get a producer credit, right? So you never know where your life's going to go, and there's so much tools out there. It's very exciting. So the big shift in my business, I used to get frustrated because I was like, why are all these people hockey sticking? And I'm judging myself I'm so smart and I know all this stuff, but yet all these people that don't really. And then I realized, hey, let's stop focusing on other people and let's double down on the things that really matter.
Yeah.
And I said it on another episode that, look, I'm spending about 80 grand in coaching and different learning programs and courses I'm going through right now. 80 grand. I mean, I would never have thought years ago I would spend 80 grand in a year on stuff, right? On educational stuff. But I tell you what, I look at everything, I go, what's going to be the ROI? Can I get an ROI on this? And whether it's a return on investment or a return on time.
Yes.
That's powerful, man.
Super powerful. That's so strong, man. So strong. And it's amazing too that it's ongoing, right? Like you mentioned, you've been in the business. It's funny because we have that similarity that, getting in the business early 20s, kind of not, I don't have a degree, also, just similar to you and same thing, and trying to figure out where to go and just, finding real estate, finding finance for you. It's not just like you just started investing in yourself this last year, right? This has been ongoing. And talk about the longevity of it, I know you were in masterminds, like even with some of my buddies. I forget the name of the mastermind.
Go Abundance.
Go Abundance. Yeah. So you're like Go Abundance. That talk a little bit about the progression of, how that compounds and how it pays dividends over the years.
Yeah, I mean, it just being in the right places and getting involved. Some of the groups I didn't stay involved. I mean, part of it is you can't just be in the group. You have to be a part of the group, right? You have to get involved and then share knowledge. And so now, like I when I got married, I got kind of taken out of that Go Abundance group. I mean, I've been in it, but I just was like, my head wasn't in it. But now I run a mastermind. We have like little micro tribes within. It's basically a group of 900 guys that are all not billionaires, all millionaires. And it's like
soon to be billionaires, maybe, right?
So, some of them, yeah.
Some of us, right?
Yeah. And so, but yeah, I've done that for 10 years, and it's like on top of many other things. And you just get around people that are doing things in a positive way. We have little micro tribes on AI, like, because AI is changing the way we do things. I can use Opus right now. I can cut reels. Automatically. I could take a long form video and create. So I would never become a good editor, right? Because I don't have the skills. So I can use tools like that. Now, does it edit as well as a good editor? Heck no. But I can use tools like that. So there's all these sorts of different groups that I learned from. And really what I consider myself, not a real estate guy, not a business guy, but I'm more of a media company, right? Like as Gary Vee talks about it.
Yes.
Like I am a media company and I have different ways I monetize that. But really, I think once you realize that your personal brand is, like even Alex Hormozi said that, right? Like he wished he would have known about his personal brand and built that early on. And I agree 100%. And you don't need to be an Alex Hormozi. Sure, it would be awesome to get that many views and that like traffic. But even with the small amount of traffic I get, it's life-changing. Absolutely.
Say that again, because I think that's really important, about small traffic and it's life-changing.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Yeah. So look, I look at Alex Hormozi and I love his content. I think he's super smart. I went to his scaling workshop here in Vegas. I invested in that, right?
Yeah.
Without question, because he's given me so much value. He gave me so much value. I don't mind pulling out my credit card for somebody that gives me value because I know I'm going to get more value.
Yeah.
But when you look at Alex, he's got millions and millions and millions of views. I don't need that. Like,
right.
Sure, would I love it? I like that feeling of like, oh my God, somebody just, thousands of people like my thing. The truth of the matter is I get very little views on my YouTube channel, but I can monetize that in such a way where a transaction can be worth $50,000, right? And so like I put out 2,000 videos. That's 2,000 clones of Bo out there. I know how to rank and search, and now people find me when they have search intent. They're looking for an SBA loan broker. Boom. They're looking for a SBA 504 loan. They're looking for a particular franchise. So I weave that stuff in, and then I also follow Daniel Priestley, and Daniel talks about being a key person of influence. So that means getting on more stages. That means people know you for your unique ability. What is your unique ability, and how do you get on the more stages? And then, so I do that, right? But I figured out, well, how can I get 1,000? I used to struggle to get 50 people to an event. Now I get 1,200, 2,000, 3,000 people registering for my virtual events.
Wow.
And, not all of them come, but 20% of them show up, right? And so everything is really numbers. When I wasn't texting people to remind them to come to my virtual event, you get a 10 or 12% show up rate. If you start texting them, you get 20%. So understanding all of these like macro and micro, units will make you way more successful. And then you become oversubscribed. When you're oversubscribed, that's where you want to be. Sorry, my calendar's booked, right? Like there's principles. Going back to Dr. Robert Cialdini, he has 7 principles of influence. So all this stuff, if you learn about it and implement it, it'll make you very successful.
I love it. One thing too that I really want to highlight there is that, and Hormozi said that, the first person I heard say this, is that, you don't need millions of views or hundreds of thousands of views or tens of thousands. He goes, just imagine a room. If you had 200 views on a video or 100 views, just imagine if you had 100 people in a room. That's a lot of people if it's the right message for the right people. And that's a lot of what, what I took away from what you just said. It's interesting too, because I had a video kind of playing with Instagram. I did a video where basically it hit like 1.4, 1.5 million views on Instagram. And a lot of comments, a few follows, whatever. but really zero business intent. It was a clever, kind of a funny, interesting video, but not anything, no intent, no DMs about people wanting to do business or any engagement of customers, clients, etc. And then again, I'll do a video that may have 200 or 300 views and get, 1, 2, 3 inquiries, DMs, people engaging in business. So I think that's really important what you said. Talk about just in terms of like work-life balance. I know you've got your son, your wife. Talk about work-life balance. How are you juggling that right now? And just kind of on a personal note, so people can really get to know you.
Sure.
We talked about it last night at dinner, but I want you to share that with the audience.
Sure. So I was single most of my life, and I, happy hours with friends. I had a lot of women friends, lady friends, guy friends, right? I have that dynamic ability to attract people that want to hang out, right? And so I love being single. At some point in your life, when you're not looking, you end up finding somebody that you get married to, right? Like there's something that I wasn't looking to get married. It just happened. Yeah. And fast forward 5.5 years later, I'm here, right? And so I got married later in life. I'm 47. I just had my first child. I have a 10-month-old boy. So I'm set in my ways, and I'm also very driven. So it's challenging to be, I think I do a fairly good job of being a parent. Could I be a better parent? Yeah. Sometimes because I work from my home office, my wife thinks that means I'm available to take care of, his name is Bo too, his baby Bo. We call him baby Bo. And so that's kind of challenging. So do you have challenges in life? I go hard lately, and I go a little bit probably too hard. I don't know if people could, not like trying to brag or anything, but first of all, I don't recommend it for people to go this hard. But I go hard because I have a lot of things I want to accomplish.
Break down go hard, though, so people really understand. What does that mean?
Generally, I get up at 3:55 in the morning. I get to the gym 4:45, 5 a.m., work out for an hour and a half. Come back home, shower, maybe grab a yogurt, start my day, and then go. And my calendar, because I've used all these principles to become oversubscribed, is almost always completely booked. Now, everybody always says, well, when I look over at like an entrepreneur that owns 100 businesses, well, how do you own 100 businesses? Like I don't have time. That's like right here. So there's always levers you can pull. Like everything is about leverage and systems, right? It's like how do people get ultra successful? It's because they can start, hiring talent. They can start, and what do? My personal preference is I don't want to have a lot of staff like in the States. I want all contract workers. And I found the Philippines to be a great place, right? So I have 4 full-time virtual team members, and then I have 1 fractional CMO, chief marketing officer, integrator, whatever you want to call them. And I'm continuing to add players, but I don't want a big staff. So, but you have to figure that out because if you don't want to work the load I'm working right now, it's not feasible, right? Because it's a great thing to be oversubscribed where everybody wants to talk to you and you want to solve their problems, but you have to figure out how who they're going to talk to, like my assistant, right? Not me, because at some point you just have to, if you want to grow, but ultimately I think my end goal is to create some digital, like I have some digital products that like the people that make the most money have subscription-based software or membership-based programs, right? It's not transaction-based. Like my business has always been transactional, similar to yours. But really when you think about it, it's really, once you get to a certain point, you either sell your knowledge in some way or you create some kind of software membership program. And that's ultimately what I think I'll do. I have a couple different things I want to build. Sure. But I'm having fun what I'm doing now, but also.
Talk about the cohorts.
Yeah. So.
What is a cohort?
A cohort is basically group coaching, right? So I've always been transaction-based, meaning people call me, I fulfill, either they want to, use SBA to buy a business, to build, to do rent replacement or whatever. There's 101 uses for SBA financing. I help people through that process. I also help people buy businesses, franchises generally, either a franchise startup or resale. But now what I want to do is take people that are more committed they obviously invest a little bit of money into joining a group coaching program. But then I can say, okay, these people are committed. A lot of times what happens in life is people are not really committed. Real estate investing sounds sexy. Owning a business sounds sexy, but they just want to put their toe in, right? Mm-hmm. So by having group coaching, I want people that are serious. And if they're serious and I can meet with them 90 minutes a week for 2 months, the outcome is that they're the ones that are going to end up buying a business or investing in a business. And those are the people I want to work with, right? That's how you got to, because if you have lots of people that want to talk to you, you have to have some kind of way to filter. Are you committed? I'm committed. I spent $80,000 this year already, and we're only in 3 months in, right? So I want people that, you're not going to spend 80 grand with me, but the point is, you need to put a little bit of money into the game, and those people I'll be invested in through the cohort to get them to transition. The premise of the cohort is basically to buy a proven business that replaces your W-2 job without starting from scratch.
Got it.
So if that sounds appealing, which most people out there, that's their goal.
Yeah.
But who's committed? That's what I want to know.
That's strong, dude. That's strong. And you just coaching them through, showing them step by step. And not only that, even just having a hotline, somebody that you can call and say, how does this work again? Or what do you think is the best because I live in this region or this city or this marketplace? Is this a good idea when I'm looking at buying a franchises or different types of businesses or real estate versus businesses? So I think that's brilliant to have the ability to, communicate and say, hey, can you walk me through this? And just having access to someone like you.
I've been coaching people for years. I just never call it coaching program, right?
Right.
I have my friend, my friend Eric, Eric, right? Like,
yeah, Eric's awesome.
Hey, Eric, here's a training video on short-term rentals.
Yeah.
Watched it, bought a bunch of them. He's like, man, that's awesome. I'm crushing it now. Obviously he's an implementer. Then he's like, man, I have a tax problem now. Okay, well, Eric, if you materially participate in running a short-term rental, it's called materially participating because it's an active business, which means you can do a cost segregation and you can accelerate the depreciation and you can offset all that several $100,000 of income you just made in the mortgage business, right? So I just probably saved him about $300,000 in taxes.
And by the way, every time I see Eric, he's got a big smile on his face.
Yeah.
He is one of the happiest guys when I run into him. Please continue.
Yeah. So I was coaching people without having a formal program. So now it's funny. I took a group coaching program to learn how to create a group coaching program.
Right.
Right. But that's what you do. And that's part of why you start taking these steps. You build the foundation. My coach says, Bo, you've built the foundation. You built the foundation, right? And so now it's your turn to, I don't care if I hockey stick. Sure, I'd love to hockey. We say hockey stick where you're just, your income and your growth rate just
rocket ships.
Yeah. But I'm ready to challenge myself, right? I'm not a spring chicken anymore, 47, but I feel good. Working this much does kind of burn you out. So you got to be really good. You got to start doing the infrared dry saunas. You got to eat healthy. Yeah. You got to stretch because I'm sitting a lot.
Yep.
It does pay a toll on me. And you got to balance it. Going back to the relationship, you have to balance it and still be a good husband and a good father, right? Because that's your number one responsibility.
Amen.
So, it's also having to convey the message to my wife. Like, my wife's not an entrepreneur. She's a school teacher by trade. And it's like, hey, I did this, and that. Oh, that's great, honey. And it's like, but her big thing is the family time, which I understand. Yeah. That's what I love about she's from Mexico. The culture is geared family oriented more so than a lot of the American people, right? And I think we got to get some of that into our ecosystem. Yep. It's about the family, la familia.
See, I love it. Any parting words? Anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
No, it's just I love seeing you. And now that I'm in Vegas and you're still in the Bay Area, but it's great to at least see you at least during ORaaT conferences. And you inspire me and you got to get around people that inspire you. Like, I come to events for other people's energy.
Yeah,
energy is a big thing with me. Like, because I'm here, I'll be so much more energized for my work week next week, and I'll be thinking about all these things. And to have somebody like Graham Stephan, right, on stage yesterday, and I get to go, hey, Graham,
you had like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, felt like probably 15 minutes with him. Felt like it was cool.
Right. And you got a guy that's probably one of the top YouTubers in the
Genius.
world. And he got his editor, Alex, with him. That's the other thing about getting in rooms, right? Like getting in rooms. When I was in the room with Evan, I got to meet Tom and Willwright and I got to know each other, right? So those are the things that really create the snowballs, right? And that snowball keeps on going down the hill and it's getting bigger, bigger, bigger.
Yeah.
We call them flywheels. It's all about the flywheel effect.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I want to say too that you and I last night at dinner, dude, like you don't realize, but it was like probably 90 minutes. You and I were back and forth and you were telling me about, oh, check out this guy, check out this person's on webinars. Oh, check out this. You were telling me about like an app where people raise capital and just so many, it's so symbiotic. And you and I, like, we haven't